Okay, welcome back everyone to another special episode of Yoda's Hut. I'm Bill. I go by Yodaman on the boards, and once again I'm joined for commentary by Derek. Hey Derek, how's it going?
Doing all right.
All right, so this is the second game of round three from the 2016 Thanksgiving Star Wars LCG tournament at the Gamers Armory in Cary, North Carolina. I am on the right in this game playing my Navy deck, which was 2 Deploy the Fleet, 2 Tarkin Doctrine, 2 Might of the Empire, 2 Inexorable Destruction. Then I had 1 Endor Entrapment and 1 Moon Blockade. And I am playing Lucas, who is playing a Rebels more fighter deck on the left. He's got 2 Rogue Squadron Assault, 2 Heroes of the Rebellion, 2 Alliances Elite, 2 A Legend Begins, and then he also threw in 2 Resistance and Rebellion, the new Smuggler vehicle pod, which I'm not sure how well that's going to synergize with his deck, but I guess we'll find out. And it looks like we flipped up here. I had 2 Deploy the Fleets and
Ugh.
Inexorable Destruction, and he started with, I think, Rogue Squadron Assault, Resistance and Rebellion, and A Legend Begins, if I remember right. So once again, my deck gave me no resources at the beginning, even after a mulligan, if I remember right here. And so I'm going on the damage, the objective thing again, and playing one of the gunships there for 3 because it's a capital ship for free. Well, 3 damage and free. And then, if I remember right, though, I think I actually did have Tarkin. Yeah. So I also had Tarkin. That's why I did that. So I played Tarkin and the gunship. And I still got a resource left over to blank something with Tarkin if I need to. And I think I'm going to commit Tarkin to the Force here and probably pass turn. So as we got started, sort of a quick start here. Do you got any thoughts about well, we've seen my deck before in the other games, but you got any thoughts about Lucas's deck that he's playing over there with the
So
fighters?
yeah, the new one there. That's the new Nien Nub pod, right? Is that what you
Right,
said?
right. So he's got the
As in that?
pilots in there, which I guess is useful.
Now, does that have a stand target in it? I don't remember if it
Yeah, I'm
does.
pretty sure it does. I think it's got a pilot
So
ready room and a stand target, so he's got more stand targets with it.
yeah, that's kind of the thing. He's got 4 stand targets in his deck and another way to cheapen his pilots. So I can see where it's not the end of the world having that in there. Um, and it's one of those pods requires you to run the rebel faction, right? That's
Right,
why
Legend
he's
Begins does, the new Wedge pod
yeah.
does. And actually, I think, I'm trying to remember if Alliance's Elite does too, but I know Wedge does, so.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not. I can see it. He just has to accept the fact that he's probably, if he's going to play those guys, that's going to be either because they were reduced to 0 cost or because it's a stay on target.
Right, exactly. And but it does give him more pilots, and those pilots like Nine Num and the loyal co-pilot in there don't count to the pilot limit, which that was a pretty good idea there to pair with the Rogue Squadron X-wings because it gives
Yeah.
you ways to like keep striking with them. So that was a pretty clever idea. I'm not so sure about Alliance's Elite. If anything, that would be the one I might have taken out and maybe
Mm.
tried something else in that. But the other 5 or other 4 pods these running 2 of seemed like they could really be a good foundation for the
Well, the
deck.
Alliance's Elite has that one card in it, though. I think that's kind of like Wedge, where it lets you move an enhancement around from one to
Yeah,
another. So there's some potential with that. I know in my pilot deck, I've got 1 copy of it in there,
yeah.
primarily for that card, even though some of the other stuff in there is useful as well.
Yeah, and so I played. So he played Ready for Takeoff and got Hobby, and then he put Hobby on the Rogue Squadron X-wing. And I will say, I kind of felt bad because we went to conflict. I'm like, I'm gonna have to blank Hobby and discard him with Tarkin. And like, it's like I think he forgot about that. He just was. People hadn't been playing Navy as much, I guess, out at Gamers Army. He completely forgot about Tarkin as a thing still against
Yeah,
ships like he has. Yeah.
Tarkin breaks pilot decks.
Yeah, well, and he has to stay on targets. I think I mentioned I'm like, yeah, well, if you get stay on targets, you can get around Tarkin at least during conflict. But so I kept
Yeah.
balance, and the dial went to 3, and I'm probably still fishing for resources here if I can. Although I didn't discard any, or maybe I did discard something. I can't remember. It actually doesn't look like I did. I probably should have discarded something. I must really like my cards. So He didn't even end up attacking with the Rogue Squadron X-Wing, which makes sense because I could have locked it down if he didn't have a stay on target to free it back up.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be careful with your deploys that you're already damaging, but there's, there we go.
There's Chimera, and I think I'm going to have to do another damage to get it out.
Yep.
And the question is, do I want to do 2 damage or 1? So I'm putting a third one on that 1 deploy the fleet. I figure, oh no, I'm splitting it up now. And I guess I'm going to leave Tarkin as himself as my only resource to blank something if I need to. But with Chimera, now I've got something with 3 guns. So these Rogue Squadron X-Wings are certainly a lot less scary at this point.
Yeah.
And I got to think I might as well just sit back here. I certainly don't want to attack with Chimera. I'm going to commit Chimera. Keep balance.
Yeah, I don't think you have
turn.
to worry about seeds in his deck.
No.
And you got your gunship, so you can shield those objectives too, so they're not in as bad a shape as
right.
it looked before.
And so he's still got his Rogue Squadron X-Wing now. If he can stay on target somebody into that, that'll help, because if he put something in before, I might blank it with Tarkin.
Well, you might blank the X-Wing itself.
Yeah, well, if it's pilot, yeah, that's right. He doesn't have Heroes of the Rebellion out. He just has it in his deck. So,
yeah.
And what did he just play there? Is that?
That's one of the new things, I think. I can't make out what it is.
Yeah, I'm getting a glare on this.
I think. I think it has 3 health. It might be a 2.
Is it the new? I think it's the new Red 2.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it is. It's the new Red 2. So after a pilot enhancement's attached to it, you can move a focus token from an enhancement to another Tarkin enhancement controlled by the same player.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
I think he's got stay on target in his hand right now.
I was going to say, now what I thought of for this was, it's just kind of a shame that would be so good with the other wedge, the Hoth Ops wedge, that you could free them up, but then you've got all those wedges in your deck. You're running both of them.
Yeah, in my deck I've got 2 of that one and 1 of the other wedge, and I really want to run a second one just because everything is so good on Rogue 3, but I just don't want 4 wedges.
Right, exactly. So he did draw a card there with Rogue Squadron Assault. He's still got a couple of resources to play with, but he doesn't probably want to play any pilots right now because I can just blank him with Tarkin.
Yeah, he needs to find a way to get rid of Tarkin, and given that he doesn't even have Rebel Assault in the deck, I don't know how he's going to do it.
Right, yeah, again, this point I didn't realize that. He left those 2 resources open, and I'm thinking, oh great, he's going to Rebel Assault something here. So he's going to attack with the Rogue Squadron X-Wing at one of the deploy the fleets, and I'm going to block with Chimera because I can give Chimera a 3rd gun, which is going to be extremely helpful here. And I think I'm going to, looks like I'm thinking about blocking with the, oh yeah, I'm going to block with the gunship too and put a shield on both deploy the fleets.
Yep, that's about what I figured.
So, and Tarkin's just going to stay back. I did not use Tarkin to blank anything. Now, Legend Begins, which is out, is after you reveal 1 or more Rebel Alliance fate cards, you can remove a target participating unit from the engagement once per engagement. So he's got that in his deck, and I've got the tactical plannings on my deck and Inexorable out. So this is kind of an interesting thing with all these new things being out there. Then Inexorable lets me strike first if I reveal 1. And so what do we got here? So I think we ended up having, I remember this edge battle here. So I think I had 8 and he had 6, but we both had tactical plannings and he had to stay on target. And then we had to realize, how is this all going to work? So as the active player, his reaction, I think, got to go first with Legend Begins is how we played this.
Yeah.
So he revealed a Rebel Fate card the same time I revealed a Navy one, but he could say, I'm going to do the Rebel one first because we revealed basically at the same time.
Yep.
And then he's going to use that to push out Chimera. So I can still strike first if I want to with inexorable. And I've got tactical planning, and I think what I decided to do was take away the blast on the the Rogue Squadron X-Wing because I knew he could stay on target, and I actually went ahead and struck with it too, and did 2
Mm-hmm.
damage. Not that it's probably going to matter, but and then he should be able to stay on target in now too. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. So he did that. Now I'm gonna try to do. So his tactical planning gets to go off first, actually. So he got to take a combat icon off of me if he wanted to.
Well, given that you're defending, he should obviously take a gun, but it's not going to
Right.
matter either way.
Right. So I don't
Assuming
think.
he uses hobby.
Right. And then I'm pretty sure I took his. Maybe I actually took his gun away so he wouldn't kill my gunship.
Yeah, because he would double swing, and you've already got a shield down there.
Right. I think
In which case he would get unopposed then anyway, so you're not saving much. You might as well take the guns.
Right, right. So I might have decided to do that. So okay, we're going back. I think what happened there was Jeremy and Scott were playing next to us had a rules question, so they asked me if I could clarify for them. I had to go over see what they're doing. So I'm
Yeah.
using tactical planning, and yeah, we'll see what I take off. I might be taking off the guns.
I would take the guns.
Yeah, and because he's putting hobby on there, so I was assuming that. I guess we'll
Hmm.
find out in a second if we put where I put the damage, if I took the guns or I took the blast. I think I took the blast. Huh. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think I
because then
made
you're
it.
you're gonna lose him.
Right. Oops, I missed it. Yeah, so
Yeah, because see, he's still gonna get unopposed now, which he wouldn't have gotten before.
well, he
Um,
got the unopposed and I shielded it.
did he only swing once?
He swung twice, but the tactical planning goes through the whole engagement.
Yeah, but
So I took both of his blasts, so he only got.
see, okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
so I sacrificed the gunship to avoid taking damage on the objectives there. And
yeah.
then
If you'd have done it the other way, you would have kept the gunship at full health, but you would have had 1 damage on that objective.
yeah,
So
so
you
the
traded the gunship for 1 damage.
right, so the dial went to 5. And the other thing, I think the other reason I did that was I was sort of forcing him that if he wanted to kill the gunship, he was going to have to sack Hobby then. And so at least Hobby's, well, I know he's back in discard, but he's going to have to try to put him back out. And if he puts him out too early, I can Tarkin him. And if he doesn't,
Well, that wouldn't have mattered. You could have Tarkined him at the start of the Force phase because Tarkin was available.
right, yeah, that's true. So he might have wanted to put
So
him back in his hand anyway to try to stay on target him in
yeah.
again.
Um,
And here I go again, no resources if I remember right.
yeah, and the thing is, you would have had 1 more damage on deploy, like you said, but then you also would have had 2 more shields potentially in the future, which likely would have prevented that damage.
So I just played the Executor and I damaged deploy the fleet again twice, and then I'm going to pay the
I
4.
was wondering if you were ever going to use that guy.
I hadn't drawn him.
I know you've had him the whole time. I wonder if you're ever going to get him.
Yeah, and so I put 3 on Legend Begins because that was certainly annoying that he bumped out Chimera, and I think I'm swinging with Executor now probably.
Yeah.
Get some damage somewhere. I may not be putting it on Legend Begins because that'd be overkill, but I might be putting it on somewhere else.
Yeah, he'll do 4 damage somewhere.
Right. So Resistance and Rebellion isn't really helping because I think it's you have to have piloted units to get the extra. Yeah, so each transport gets a damage plus 1 damage for each pilot enhancement on it. So
Yeah,
none of
which
those
is
things are transport.
he has no transports in his deck. I
Right.
don't think.
Right. See,
Because the only units in there are the pilots. So that he must have drawn both copies of that objective. That's the only reason to keep it.
right. So
That I guess if he wanted the smuggler resource, but the
Right.
objective will do nothing.
right. It must be just for the smuggler resource. So he is blocking with Red 2. So if I don't win Edge, Red 2 is going to stay alive, but I'll get a couple damage on it. But I probably don't really care. So I may not even put any edge cards in here. I might say I'll just take my 2 damage and get 2 damage on you and suck up a couple damage on the Executor because it's got so much health.
Yeah.
And let's see, he's putting a card
Well,
in.
getting
Now
rid of
now
red
I'm probably
two is
getting
not
worried.
bad.
What's he got? Like another tactical planet? No, he discarded Rogue 6 or something? That's interesting. I wonder
Yeah,
why he
just
did
getting it
that.
out.
Yeah. So he's going to do 2 damage to Executor, and I'll do 2 damage to it and 2 damage to whatever objective I attack there. Which looks like it was Rogue Squadron Assault. So I think I'm a little more aggressive this game than I was these other 2 games, even though I didn't do it. But having Tarkin out early helps with that. Like, sort of
Yeah.
gives me a way to deal with some stuff defensive that way rather than just my other units. So I'm within striking distance. The problem is I've damaged all of this stuff on Deploy the Fleet, which given him a better shot to start blowing things up too.
Mhm.
But with a dial at 5, next he's basically going to be have the situation where I could potentially win next turn if I can blow up all 3. And there's another Rogue Squadron X-Wing. I hate those things when I'm playing against them. I love them when I'm playing with them, but it's a love-hate relationship. And he's putting a pilot on there. I didn't see which one it was.
Well, I saw that he drew Hobby, so it might have been Hobby. I think
Right.
he's putting 2 pilots out there to force you to blank one of them
Yeah.
and be able to get them both.
Oh, and then he's putting. Geez, I
Is
can't
that
tell.
the co-pilot?
I think
Or
he's got
no?
the loyal co-pilot. I think he's got Hobby, and then maybe he had like Tycho or something or Wes. So I think it was Tycho, if I remember right, because I think I realized I needed a blank Tycho because that was going to give him shielding and protect vehicle.
Yeah.
So I think I ended up using Tarkin to blank, even though I was only going to have Chimera left for defense. And I let Hobby stay because I figured Chimera could just blow up the other X-Wing. It's not like he
Mhm.
has tactics to stop Chimera or enough
Well,
blast
what
or guns
is
to
that?
stop him.
Nian Nub, or is it the other co-pilot that's there?
It's the loyal co-pilot. It wasn't Numb. Yeah, I'm sure of that.
So he gives a shield though.
The other, or maybe it's not Numb. It was whichever one didn't give a shield. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Nub, I think, gives like a tactics or something.
Yeah, so I'm
But
discarding Tycho because that has the shield. Now he also played out a bunch of cards, so maybe I'm just not worrying about the potential tactics. So
mhm.
he's going in with something. It looks like because I use Tarkin to blank Tycho, and he's blowing after deploy the fleet, and I let him blow it up, so I'll get a free objective. Get a clean one
If
here.
only you'd learned that earlier in the tournament.
Yeah. Well, I think the other times I was just too worried about doing it.
hmm
And he's going to try to go after the other deploy the fleet. So I guess we'll find out if he doesn't shield, it must not be 9 numb. I mean, it must not be the co-pilot, it must be 9 numb.
Yeah, you need to. If you win here, you strike for 3 and you tactics the red 2.
Oh, you know what it is? The loyal co-pilot only gives shielding when it's on a transport, so he didn't have it.
Oh, okay.
So I just twisted away his stuff, all his cards. So I'm going to win edge and kill this X-wing here,
Yeah, and then probably tactics the other one.
and then tactics red too.
Yep.
So timely twist there. Still no resources, but at least I've gotten some decent cards. So I'm going to shoot that X-wing and focus red too. So I'm going to have a clear board to swing at. So now it's just a matter of do I have enough blast to do it? And I should be pretty close. I think I just need one more blast, actually.
Well, Tarkin takes out 1, Chimera takes out the other 1, Red Executor does 4. Yeah, you need 1 blast.
Yeah, and I don't know if I had one in my hand or not, but I certainly did. So Dow's going to go to 7, and I think I'm in pretty good shape in this game here that my capital ships are coming through, even though I'm not drawing resources. And I flipped up a Tarkin Doctrine.
Well, that'll make you feel better about defense.
Yeah, and I'm just looking here, probably trying to figure out what to discard. I think I had an Empire Strikes Back, which wasn't going to do me any good. Oh, I kept my
Nah.
stuff again. Huh. Looks like I got Death Scourge and Star Destroyer, but I can't play
Yeah,
that. I could if I use deploy
yeah,
the
you
fleet.
could.
Yeah, I
You
can use
just
deploy
damage
the.
deploy again.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot. I still had that one. So now I don't think he has any tricks, although he still has one resource left. But I think, yeah, I don't know what he'd have in his hand. So
Yeah, there's nothing
I
I
think
can
I
think
see a
of that would matter.
gladiator in there. That's probably the easiest thing. Just play the gladiator for 3, and that's enough. I'm damaging it to play
Be
it.
damaged. Yeah.
I
Are you
have
playing
enough.
something else too then?
I guess so. I don't
Or
know what I.
maybe you get a tractor beam to be
Oh
safe.
yeah, it could be that or something because it looks like I'm going in, and I'm doing. Yeah, I bet I have tractor beam, so I'm gonna take executor and gladiator after resistance and rebellion will take it out. Plus, I'll get to put a tactics on something.
Hmm.
So I'll do 3 with executor, 1 with the gladiator. Tactics, red 2 because I figured he could do it. Blow it up, and then send in Chimera. And I give Chimera an extra blast blow up rig squadron assault, so that was going to go up to 10 now, technically. And then Tarkin could just take out the last one, so maybe I
Yep.
had a tractor beam just in case. Yeah, I did. In case he had
Yep.
some trick, I saved it. So that was a pretty convincing win on my part there. So my dark side deck, that was probably the best it performed the whole day. Um,
Without resources.
yeah, with that, yeah, considering I didn't have resources again in that game. So
Well,
I
it's
ended
more.
up, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say it's more dangerous that way because you're damaging yourself, but the reality is you're getting free resources. So you're not paying for a control room and waiting a turn to use it.
Right, right.
You're so in reality you didn't get any resources, but you got as quick a jump start as you could get, short of getting something like your admiral's orders and
Right.
stuff.
Yeah, it was just a little risky because against the ship stuff, like Scott and Lucas played, they have the capability of just pumping out a lot of damage back at you.
Yeah.
Um, so I was able to kind of avoid that there. But so I ended up there sweeping Lucas. So I ended up with 16 points, at the end of the tournament. So I did win it. I was a little going into that last round. I wasn't sure because I kind of needed to at least win one and then see what happened with Jeremy and Scott based on how they did because just based on their second round games because I actually didn't remember. I didn't know at that point. I kind of lost track of how many points everybody had because we knew we had to play everybody. It wasn't like you were
Yeah.
playing somebody based on points. So after I won the first game, I felt pretty good that the best Jeremy could do is tie me if he ended up sweeping everything. And then I just got a good start in that last game, so that kind of sealed it for me. But I was
Hmm.
pretty happy with my decks overall. The Navy one, I kind of had the idea, like you had played something similar against me. I think it's a pretty obvious kind of build, and I was just back and forth about the last 2 pods, and finally decided on Endor Entrapment, which you had used in Executor just because I wanted to use it rather than Entrenched Defense. And then the light side
Yeah.
deck, I wanted to use the Shield Generator Assault because none of the new sets really excited me. And then I kind of built around that with Spark and Dodonna and just kind of filled it in from there. But so anyway, you
Yeah.
got final thoughts about my decks and the tournament here before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I mean my main reason with the defense platforms over the executor is not only are the platforms good, but it's the other stuff in that set that I really like, and it's also with that objective. It's like having a third Tarkin doctrine, where it's another way to protect your deploy the fleets.
Right. Yeah. No, I understood
So
it. Yeah, I kind of wanted to use Executor as much as anything, just because I like the idea of a jamming protocol, just to potentially at the right time, like stop a Yoda using Yoda or Rebel Assault or
yeah.
whatever. And then I just went back and forth between Entrapment and the other one. I decided to go all capital ships with Entrapment rather than the defense platforms because they're not capital ships. But anyway,
Yeah, and the
so
gladiators work really good with tactical
yeah,
planning.
they really do, even though I didn't really take advantage of it in that game, but they really could. So, well, I want to give a shout out to Scott, who I got to play, and just to everybody at Gamers Armory for their support of the game and putting on these tournaments. Anybody's watching, if you're close to the North Carolina area, they are hosting a regional at Gamers Armory on February 4th. They've got one of the regionals in the Southeast. So, consider coming if you're close to it. If you're in a few hour drive, it's a great store. It's, everybody talks about the bathrooms. It's got great bathrooms. Scott's, the owner, is great there. I mean, it used to be a Cece's Pizza restaurant, so it's got like real bathrooms, like multiple stalls and everything, and clean and stuff. And like I said, he's just done a great job supporting the game over the years, and I'm glad he's got a regional at Gamers Armory, and all the guys out there I play with are just real friendly and great. So you come on down and have a good time. You should come out from Oregon and join us there, Derek.
Yeah, sure. I'll get right on it.
So I'll put you up if you fly out. So
you coming out here to play in my regional?
Well, I don't fly. I've talked to you about that before, so probably not. It'd be a long cross-country drive.
Yep, so, just to get to me, and then I got another 3-hour drive ahead of me just to get to a regional.
Yeah. So, but anyway, well, thanks again to all those guys out there. The good shout-out. Thanks to you, as always, for doing commentary with me, Derek. I really appreciate all we've been doing with Yoda's Hut, and I hope everybody's been watching and supporting. We definitely appreciate it, and stay tuned for more games coming up. We've got more games from the Pacific Northwest coming up that Derek and Mitch have played, and hopefully some other games I'll get recorded out on my end too, and we'll keep the content coming and keep this game strong with the community and trying to contribute it to it. So thanks again, Derek, as always.
Yep, anytime.